talk a little bit briefly about whys. Some of the questions that people have thrown out to me is, why do you do what you do? Why do you have chickens? Well, for one, we do chickens simply because it's an easy way that you can raise your own meat. More specifically, I like chickens. I like to do it. It's a hobby. It's like any other drug. It leads into other things. So now we are doing turkeys also. What's next after that? I don't know. I talked about doing some pigs. Recently I've been talking about doing some sheep. I had an Amish friend that would tell me, I'll buy every sheep that you could produce. But at that time I had no clue what to do. I had no intent on doing that. But the more I've researched sheep, then the more I think maybe that's a good plan. But not a lot. It's one or two. So we'll see. We'll go from there. Chickens are very easy to take care of, and so I enjoy taking care of them. The next question I get is, what do you do for the feed? What do you do for the care and keeping of your chickens? The first thing you got to do is figure out where you're going to buy your feed. Feed is available everywhere now. Even Walmart carries feed. I'd be careful, about your feed. You have to research and do a little bit of checking. I use Poulin feeds because they are basically they're not saying GMO free, but they are basically GMO free. It is a local to the Northeast producer. I feel that it's better to have something around our area and the climate that you're in, that you're feeding to your chickens, because then they're used to it. That could be completely off base on that, but that's what I have. Poulin has higher protein in it. They don't add any antibiotics or any of those chemicals that you want that we try to stay away from. So I use them. I have a supplier just down the road, 30 miles away, and I shoot down to buy from them. They're local, and I probably could buy cheaper somewhere else, but they are a local place, and I'm a big advocate for buying locally. They are good people. They do a fantastic job. A chicken will eat a quarter pound of feed per day per bird, or thereabouts. One of the things that we do to supplement some of that is to use some table scraps. Now, they don't eat everything off your table or every scrap that comes off your table, but your lettuce and leftover, lettuce and cabbage and zucchini, and they even eat ground beef. So that kind of stuff, you have it left over on your table, breads or whatever, take it and throw it to your chickens. Worst case scenario is you got to go in and rake it up, clean it out of there, throw it in a compost pile somewhere. That's not going to hurt anything. If they won't eat it, there's a reason. They don't like tomatoes unless they're cooked. So there's a heads up. They eat berries and fruits and vegetables. The chicken is an opportunistic eater. They are basically the raptors of the world today. They will eat whatever you have out there for them to eat. When I started getting chickens, my thought was I would get enough chickens to to feed us our eggs, and maybe have a little extra for the rest of the family, and I would give them eggs also. Well, like anything else, you get carried away with things, and I was then at that time I was producing about 18 eggs a day. So, which is a lot. So I put a sign out in the yard, you know, eggs for sale, and I started getting people that wanted to buy eggs, and they were buying eggs on a regular basis. And when the pandemic hit, I had a lot more people that were buying fresh eggs from me, you know, there were people that were buying 5 and 6 dozen a week. So the pricing of the eggs is based on cost of feed. You know, and there are formulas out there, and I just did an estimate. Said, well, I have this many chickens. They eat a quarter pound of feed each. A bag of feed is going to do this. I get 300 eggs out of each chicken a year, and then broke it down that way. And I came up with a little formula, add a little bit of profit in there, and it came up to about $4 a dozen at that time. And so I was charging $4 a dozen for my eggs, and it goes by what you're feeding them. You know, you can find eggs out there for $2 a dozen, but who knows what they're feeding them. So at $4 a dozen, my profitability was really zero, because I was buying meat chickens with that money. I was buying feed with that money. I was buying more chickens with that money. So, you know, I guess the thing I was looking at is a zero balance. You know, anytime you're in business and you're at zero, you're at a plus side. So, and I've maintained that. You know, I bought fences, but the fence, you could buy fences everywhere. I like the portable fences, and you can find them online. I bought chargers, even though I don't use chargers at this point. I had fence chargers, and you know, your waterers, your feeders, that kind of stuff, and all that stuff has to be taken into account. What's its life cycle? What's its usability? In my climate, I have to have heated water bowls for the winter, so you've got to figure that in there. Chickens when they're mature don't really need heat, so you know they do just fine. If you get a flock inside without any drafts, they'll heat your coop for themselves. They can still have problems, but you know, you do the best you can. When I started doing the meat chickens, I had no clue. Never had clean chicken before. Never had done any of that. Watched a couple videos. Watched Justin Rhodes videos, and he helped quite a bit. And I learned a little bit. My son is a meat cutter, so that helps. So when we processed, we started out we bought 25 meat chickens the first year, and they were so good. And it was such a positive thing. We bought another 25 almost immediately. This year we've done about 40 is all we've done this year, and you know, I do have the meat chicken for sale. Where we're at in the state of New York, they are allowed to process up to 1,000 a year and sell. I'll never do 1,000. So, but I do give them away to some of my plumbing customers, some of my good egg customers, and they eat them. They just thoroughly enjoy it. It's not a profitable business for them, for me, you know. So, but I keep chicken in the freezer. If you've got meat in the freezer, you're setting pretty good. Which leads on to the next question. The next question I get is, are you a prepper? Well, I don't consider myself a prepper because, you know, I'm not looking for the world to end. I'm not looking for a great economic collapse. I'm not looking for any of that other EMP or anything like that to happen, and I'm not prepping for that. What I am preparing for is I'm preparing for what we already know happens. In my region, it is not uncommon to go a week to 10 days without electricity. So which means in a week to 10 days, you're going to run out of, you know, food, water. Refrigerator's not going to work. Your freezer's not going to work. So what are you going to do? Well, to combat some of that, we became Thrive Life consultants. Thrive Life is a dehydrated or a freeze-dried food processor. And we buy the cans of the food, and that are good for 25 years shelf life. We are on a monthly basis for shipping in. We select every month. They send us something new of our selecting, and so we keep a continuous because we use it every week. We're pulling something off the shelf. We're utilizing that. My grandkids will take a can of peas, which are just peas. There's nothing else in there, and they are freeze-dried. So they'll take a handful of freeze-dried peas, and they'll sit there and snack on them like they were popcorn. You know, I could think of worse things they could eat. So they like it. We do some freeze-dried meats, the dairy, especially, you know, we've got grandkids, great-grandkids, so we're stocking up on the powdered milks and dehydrated powdered milk. We did a lot of the dehydrated eggs before you started having my own chicken, so we still have some of that. We do the vegetables. We do spices. They have cans of flour and cans of rice and beans, and so we have that on the shelf, and that's strictly as a preparing, not a prepper, but a preparing for what we know happens here. During the last hurricane that came through here, and I don't remember which the name it was, but we were very fortunate because we weren't flooded. But we lost power, and we were out for 3 days, and we were one of the first people to get power back, simply because we were not flooded. It's pretty hard to flood something that's 1,700 feet in the air. But you know, as down below, some of the bigger cities down south of us, they were flooded. They couldn't get there. They couldn't even get in there to reset poles, and they could us. So that worked out for us. But in the middle of the winter time, when something like that happens, we're still 3 to 5 days without power, because we're such a remote location that, you know, if we have a big storm and the power lines go down, they're not alongside the road. They're going up over the top of the mountain, and they take them time to get there, and time to get the equipment here. And so we have to prepare for that, and that's what we're doing. We're preparing. We're not prepping. We're not, as my mother says, oh, you're preppers. I forget you're preppers. Well, we're not prepping. We're just preparing. As most people do, as you know, you get a snowstorm coming, everybody runs to the store and buys the bread and the milk. Well, if you are the person that can't get there, the bread and the milk's already gone, so what do you do then? So that's what we're preparing for. The next thing I get asked a lot is, what do you do for you know, housing for your chickens or housing for any animals? Well, housing does not have to be expensive. Housing can be as simple as a few pallets put together, some chicken wire over the top of it. They're secure. Can you do that in town? In most municipalities do allow a small flock of hens. What a small flock of hens is up to you. Check with your town, check with your zoning officers and see how many you can have. You know, you'd be amazed if you have you know, 4 or 5 hens out in the backyard and they're running around laying eggs. You're doing pretty good. you've got eggs for you. My circumstances, I'm on rented property or leased property, so I don't want to build a coop that would be a permanent fixture. So I had a camper trailer, a pop-up, and it needed work. The canvas was rotted out, whatnot. My first plan was I was going to use it as a storage trailer, and I did. For a year and a half, I used it as a storage trailer. Then I started getting chickens, and I thought, you know what? I can raise this roof up. I can put some 2x4s around it and some plywood over it, and I've got a chicken coop. And that's what I did. I took it, made it a chicken coop, put a door in so they could come and go, and that's my coop. That lasts. It's still lasting today. The big girls are in it, and that's what they live in. A year ago, I had the opportunity. The guys out to the transfer station called me and said, somebody just brought out a camper, a pop-up, a little pop-up. If you want it, come and get it. So I drove over to the landfill, picked it up, brought it here, got it out. The canvas was already gone. So all I had to do was pull the sink out, the booths out, and the bunks off the end. Put it up, put some 2x4s that I had laying around, and some metal on it that I had laying around, and now I made it my brooder. I put some windows in it. I did buy some half-inch hardware cloth, put it over the windows just for ventilation, and that's my brooder. So I got nothing in that one, maybe 20 bucks. But it's fairly simple, fairly easy to do. So you don't have to have a lot of money to get involved. The biggest thing is to have your feed, get your waterers going. What do I do in the winter time? That's another question I get asked. Well, in the winter, because chickens are a warm-bodied animal, they are 104 degrees each. So when you get 10 of them in a coop, they're generating enough BTUs to keep that coop warm. As long as you have the wind not coming in, you keep your vents up high, and mine are just holes that I've drilled along the top, so that the ventilation, there's always a constant ventilation in the coop, but not a breeze on the chickens. They do just fine. If it gets super cold, and I'm saying, below 25 below, then I'll go out and throw a additional heater in the coop, and it may be a heat lamp or even a small ceramic heater. They'll do just fine. The cold does not harm chickens. It's more of a heat issue. So you want to make sure that during the summer months, when it's super hot, you have plenty of shade, plenty of water, and they'll do fine. They know what to do. They're natural at doing what they do. Just let them do what they do. But other than that, that's about all that I've got. If you're interested in some of the Thrive Life stuff, drop us a line, send us a note. We'll get back to you on how to get involved and what you need to do. It is one of those things that we did simply because somebody else told us about it, and we checked it out and we enjoy it. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We'll get you set up and pointed in the right direction. If you want to know more about the pool-in feeds, again, drop me a line. I will answer what I can. I will try to find out where they are around you. I know where they're at around me. So if you're looking for that, let me know. Other than that, hey, you guys have a great day. I'll see you later.